Well guys, it's been about just over 2 weeks since I bottled that Mr. Beer kit, and I think it's time we give it a try. I've put this one in the fridge overnight. It's definitely chill hazed. It wasn't that way when I first put it in there, so that doesn't matter. So that's the first thing I noticed, is it was beautiful and clear before I put it in the fridge, and now it got kind of cloudy. Doesn't matter. So before we open this, let's just sort of tell you what I did after I bottled them. I took them back up to where I fermented it. We're in the hall upstairs, where there's a sort of a constant temperature, and I let them sit for about 17, 18 days, undisturbed, sort of in the dark. Covered them with a towel so that no light got in, all that good stuff. And then I put it in the fridge yesterday, and here we are. So I guess the only thing left to do is give it a whirl, isn't it? So let's pop this thing. I hope there's carbonation. Oh, there's carbonation, all right. All right. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to fit in this glass, but let's give it a whirl. It's Mr. Beer. Wow. I'll just recap that there so I can, whoops, there we go. All right, well, as I expected, it's a little chill hazed, but not to worry. It has a fairly nice head on it, especially for the lighter beer that it is. As for aroma, it kind of smells like a Pilsner. And which is, I think, sort of the style that it's supposed to be modeled after. Well, I'm kind of excited. This has been a month, almost a month to get this thing rocking. Let's give it a whirl. This is it's Mr. Beer. Let's see what happens. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing at all wrong with that beer. It's very sessionable. It's light tasting. It doesn't have any weird off flavors or anything like that. And I really can't, it just tastes like a Cooper's, basically. It reminds me of the Cooper's Pilsner, actually, which I've done. That one's done with Pilsner yeast, and it's done at lower temperatures. But it kind of lacks that, that Pilsner flavor, but it still has that really clean, and it's kind of dry. There's no sweetness at all in this, and little bit of lacing there, little cap on top there. Yeah, there's really nothing much you can say wrong at all. It's a very basic beer, and it's actually really a lot like what people would expect if they were used to drinking commercial beers, and they decided to do this Mr. Beer. They're basically getting more or less what they're used to when they buy commercial beer, just regular run-of-the-mill beer. I wouldn't say it's exactly like that. It has a slightly more fruity taste to it than commercial beer, but that could be the sugar, the bottle conditioning and the fact that it's an extract beer. You know, there's lots of reasons. But all in all, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's quite refreshing and nice, and I have no complaints, really. It's basically it's what I'm used to. I've been brewing Cooper's beer for many years, and this is really no different. So that's that. Now we'll set this aside here. We'll just talk about overall my opinion of, as an experienced home brewer, my opinion of the Mr. Beer system. I think it's a really like a risk-free way of trying to make beer in your house, in your kitchen, basically. It doesn't cost a lot of money initially to buy the kit. If you get the one with the bottles, I guess it's probably a little bit more. And it's not really a huge investment. And if you follow all the instructions and you do everything more or less the way I did it or the way they tell you to do it, and you just be really careful with sanitation and whatnot, and realize that beer is a living, well, home brew anyway, is a living thing. There's still yeast in there. It's a living thing, and it can go rotten. It can go rancid very quickly. So be very careful with sanitation and cleanliness and whatnot. Don't brew when the cat litter needs to be cleaned out or anything. Don't do it in a clean area where there's clean air, and just be careful. And I don't think that anybody who's new to brewing would have any problems with this. And I don't think that you're going to be disappointed with the flavor. But that's just my opinion. I'm used to drinking homebrew, and I'm used to all the different things that can happen and the different overtones and undertones that can accompany the taste of a home brew. There's, I can't really think of anything, just the little things I pointed out along the way. Perhaps a bottling wand or even a short, if they could invent like a short little bottling stick or something, or I don't know, something that you can fit onto the nozzle and do, like the Cooper's DIY kit has, where you push the bottle onto it. But, obviously it's not necessary because we were able to have success without that, but it might prevent some spillage and some over or underfilling of bottles. But other than that, I got to tell you, as an experienced home brewer, I give it a thumbs up for a beginner. I don't know, moving forward, buying the refills, eventually you're probably going to want to move up to a larger system. And because, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to lie about this, and I'm sure Mr. Beer will be watching this. The little tins of malt extract they're not much less expensive than the larger tins of Cooper's. And you could actually go ahead and buy the Cooper's, the large tin, and just split it in half, pour half of it into the Mr. Beer kit, make the beer, put the other half in the fridge with the cover, and in a couple weeks brew that half of the Cooper's kit in there. And you could save a little bit of money by doing that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say how happy they're going to be with me saying that, but it is Cooper's extract. It's all the same that comes with it. So for me, I can't get the Mr. Beer refills up here in Canada. It's going to cost me $25 just for the shipping, and I can run down the street and get a can of Cooper's, and I can use that fermenter. That's the other thing. That little fermenter is, I'm thinking, handy for test batches, small scale all grain batches, apple ciders, experiments of sorts. So that's, I don't think it's a waste. I don't think it's something that you're not going to use moving forward. I think that, once you move up to 5-gallon batches and onward, and you start doing partial extract, mini mash, and full all grain brewing, I think this little Cooper's Mr. Beer same company. I think this little Mr. Beer fermenter is handy. It's got the spigot on it. It's got, it just works. So I'm going to be using it to do little small batches, experimental two-gallon batches. And, you know, it's got the dark color, so it's not going to let a lot of ultraviolet light in. I think it's a pretty good fermenter. And the thing about it is it's low profile, the shape of it. So you could actually fit that into a, you know, like a cooler with some ice packs and do a lager in there at a low temperature. If you don't have a temperature control fridge or, you know, place to brew lagers, all you need is a cooler, even your mash tun. If you're, you know, you could do a 2-gallon all grain batch right in a cooler with some ice packs in that little fermenter. Put the lid down and get your temperature. You know, there's lots of possibilities. And I think that's where really it's meant for people who, you know, they do a few Mr. Beer kits and then they say, yeah, I'm all good. I'm going to move up to full-size batches. And then you can use the Mr. Beer fermenter to do smaller things and experiment with. So that's my opinion on the whole Mr. Beer thing. I'm very, I'm a little surprised, I have to admit, that it turned out as good as it did. They've been mocked over the years and whatnot, but they have changed their formulations. They've gotten rid of the dextrose out of the, you know, there's no more little brew enhance or booster bags or whatever they used to put in there. It's an all malt, really this is an all malt beer. There is no dextrose or adjuncts in this. It's all malt. So, you know, you can ferment in anything that will allow you to ferment. Doesn't matter what shape it is or what it's called. So cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope this, you know, maybe put to rest the mythology surrounding the Mr. Beer system. I've had success with it, and if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers out.